This is Fitness Blender's comprehensive Pilates leg workout. In this routine, we're going to be going through 11 leg toning exercises plus a round of cool down stretches for a total of 19 minutes. This workout doesn't require any equipment except for an optional exercise mat. So let's go ahead and get started with our first exercise, the single leg toe taps. I'm going to be doing this starting from a tabletop position. So nice deep breath in, push into the imprint, go ahead and bring one leg up, then the other. Hold that tabletop position, nice solid position, knee right above that hip, 90 around that knee, then slowly drop one leg out, tap that toe, bring it right back up. Then you're going to do the same exact thing on the opposite side, and then just keep alternating back and forth between those legs. Nice, slow, controlled motion. You want to slowly exhale as that leg goes away, inhale as it comes back up. Exhale that opposite leg away, inhale it back. Just keep alternating back and forth. Make sure you keep checking your abdominal muscles, sucking that belly button in nice and tight, pressing that lower back flat against that mat. Now the hardest version of this is making sure you don't let that knee come in past that hip joint. It's going to stop right above that hip joint. Now as you do these, those abs and those legs are going to start getting tired, and you're going to have a tendency to bring that knee in over top of your stomach, or you're going to have a tendency to lift that lower back up off the mat, or possibly both. So you want to make sure you're really focusing on keeping that back flat against that mat. So if you have to, go ahead and pull that knee in just a little bit further over top of that stomach to give those abs a little bit of extra rest. But if you can, try to keep those knees outside that hip joint. Try to keep that back flat the entire time. Now we're almost done. Coming up to our next exercise, the double pulse leg stretches. You're going to extend both those legs straight above those hips. Slowly drop one out. Pulse twice on that leg. Then switch them over. Pulse twice on the other. Switch them back. You want to try to keep those legs as straight as you can. That breathing with this one is going to be exhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, exhale, inhale. So every single time you pull that leg in pulse, you're going to be exhaling twice. As those legs cross, you're going to be inhaling. Just keep going back and forth, nice, slow, fluid motion. Not only do you want to keep those legs nice and straight, but you also want to keep a half crunch the entire time. So you want those shoulder blades up off the ground, nice and high. Just keep alternating those legs. We're almost done. We're going to switch to a single pulse here in just a second. Just one more in each leg. Pause it for just a second and switch to that single. So this is the same exact motion you were just doing. The only difference is when you bring that leg in, you're only going to do one pulse pulling that leg in instead of two. Now we're going to do the same thing with that breathing. So you're just going to breathe once when you pull it in and then extend those legs back out. So it's going to be inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. It's a pretty quick motion on this one. We've sped those feet up just a little bit and let them relax. Let's go ahead and move on to the next exercise, the supine leg extensions. So keep those legs up nice and straight, contract those abs, back flat against that mat, let those feet drop down and then extend them right back up. You want to focus on keeping that thigh perfectly straight up and down. You want that knee directly above that hip joint the entire time. Never let that knee start coming out over top of your stomach at all. If you need to, you can put your hands up on those thighs to kind of keep them from coming in, to kind of support those legs so you know where they are in space. Just slow, controlled motions, slowly extending them straight up. Get a full, tight contraction on the front of that thigh, and then slowly drop those heels back down and start again. It's going to be inhale, drop those legs down. Exhale, extend them right back up. Just keep that motion going. Nice slow extension, nice slow drop. Just making sure those knees stay right above that hip joint. Those thighs are perfectly perpendicular to the ground. And we're almost done. Just two more full repetitions. Slowly back up, full extension. One more time, slowly back down. You're going to come back up and freeze those legs at the top of that range of motion. Slowly walk up those legs, stretch them out, stretch that hamstring out one last time. We're going to go into leg circles next, starting with that left leg first. So drop that right leg off. Stretch that left leg for a second. Go and drop it back. Left leg stays up nice and straight. Point that toe. Then a nice big circle. You're doing 10 in one direction, 10 back the opposite direction. You want to get about 12 inches in diameter for that circle right above that hip joint. Try to pull it across in front of your stomach, over top of your stomach, and over top of your chest as much as you can, as much as the flexibility in that hamstring will allow. Main thing to focus on is keeping that leg straight though. Go and switch directions, nice slow controlled motion. Keep those core muscles nice and tight, still trying to shove that lower back flat against that mat. Now, if you're finding it difficult to hold this position, you can always bend that right knee to a 90-degree angle and place that foot flat against the ground. Just lowers the tension on those hips, makes those abs have to work just a little bit less. Otherwise, try to keep that leg out there nice and straight. And pause it right there. Go ahead and bend that knee, drop it off to the side, let it stretch out. And let it relax. Go ahead and switch over to the other side. Bring that right leg up, stretch up that leg. Let it stretch for just a second. And lay back down. Keep that leg up there nice and straight. Then start those circles. Nice, slow, controlled motion. Again, about 12 inches in diameter. Try to stretch that leg up over top of your stomach and chest as best you can, as much as that hamstring will allow. You want to actually get a really good stretch on that hamstring every single time that leg comes up to the top of that circle up towards your chest. Now just keep it going. Nice controlled motions. Concentrate on keeping that quadricep, that thigh, completely contracted so you have a nice straight leg. Go ahead and pause that leg at the top. Switch directions. Same exact motion, just move in the opposite direction. Again, about 12 inches in diameter. Keep that leg perfectly straight, back flat against the mat. And we are almost done. One more back around. Freeze it up the top. Go ahead and bend that knee, drop it off to the side, let that leg stretch. And let it relax. Let's go ahead and move to the next exercise. We're doing a double pulse side kick. So you're going to roll over onto your left side first. Go ahead and prop that head up with your left hand, or you can let that arm go out completely extended straight. Doesn't matter, whatever is more comfortable. Prop yourself up with that right hand to help kind of keep your shoulders straight. Then start that leg motion. It's going to be kick that leg in front, pulse twice, and then stretch it back behind you, then pulse again in the front. Just keep alternating back and forth. Nice, slow, fluid motion. You don't want this to be an actual kick motion. You want it to be a nice sweeping motion. So control that breathing. It's going to be exhale, exhale, inhale, stretch it back. Exhale, exhale, inhale, stretch it back. Try to get that second pulse at the top of that range of motion just a little bit further than that first one. And just two more. Pulse twice in front, stretch it back, one left. Pulse twice, stretch it back and hold it for just a second. And let it relax. We're going to go to a side leg lift. We're going to be trying to keep that foot completely parallel to the ground on this one. So focus on trying to keep that toe pointing straight forward the entire time. Don't let it start turning up towards your head. Otherwise, you're going to start using a different part of your leg. So this is primarily focused for the outside of that thigh. So nice, slow, controlled motion, squeezing that leg up really nice and high, slowly back down. Focus on keeping that leg perfectly straight the entire time, contracting that thigh and that hamstring against each other to make sure it stays straight. Also focus on those abdominal muscles, those obliques, and that lower back, making sure all of those muscles are contracted as well, keeping everything nice and tight, sucking that belly button in towards that spine. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow into control. Now just two more repetitions, nice, slow, controlled motion. We're going to switch positions here in just a second. This is your last one. Bring that leg back down and pause it, keep it hovering, and point that toe up towards the ceiling, and start again. By rotating that leg, we're going to start focusing on your hip flexor and the quadricep, the front of that thigh, a little bit more. Now you should feel like you have a lot more range of motion in this one that opens up that hip just a little bit more, gives you a lot more range of motion in that hip socket. So just keep that motion going. Try to keep that toe pointed up towards the ceiling to keep it isolated on the front of that thigh. Now check that leg, make sure that quadricep and that hamstring are nice and tight, keep that leg perfectly straight. Check those core muscles again, those abs, those obliques, and that lower back, making sure all those muscles are nice and tensed as well, pulling that belly button back towards your spine. Just keep that motion going. Now we're almost done, just one more repetition, nice tight squeeze at the top. Slowly back down. We're going to switch off to that next exercise. We're doing an inside leg lift next. So go ahead and bring that right leg up in front of your body, either right in front of your hip like I'm doing here, or you can lay that leg just flat against the ground with that knee kind of up towards your stomach and chest. So focus on that left leg for the motion. Keep it perfectly straight. Squeeze it up nice and tight. Slowly back down. Keep a little bit of a hover underneath that leg. And then right back up again. That breathing is going to be exhale as that leg goes up. Inhale as it drops back down. Now check to make sure those abs are nice and tight. We're going to switch to a pulse. Squeeze that leg up and freeze it. Then short pulses, the very top of that range of motion. It's about a couple of inches at the very top of that range of motion, getting a really nice tight squeeze on the inside of that thigh. And let it relax. We're going to switch sides. So going to flip over to the other side. We're going to do that whole progression again on that right side this time. So lay out on that right side, propping that head up with that right hand or laying that hand out flat. That left hand's going to come in front to help you keep those shoulders straight. Start with that double pulse side kick. Let's go ahead and bring that left leg up, hovering just off the ground. Pull it in front. You're going to pulse twice, then stretch it back behind you. Exhale, exhale, inhale, stretch it back. Exhale, exhale, inhale, stretch it back. Just keep that motion going. Nice, slow, fluid controlled motion. Remember, this isn't really a kick. This is more of a nice, slow, sweeping motion. Now make sure you get a good stretch on that hamstring, pulsing that leg in front of you, and a good stretch on your hip flexor and the front of those abs as you stretch that leg back behind you. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Almost done, just 2 more. Pulse it in front twice, stretch it back. Last one, pulse twice, stretch back and hold it. Freeze it there for just a second. You're going to move on to the next one, the side leg lifts with your toes pointing straight forward so that foot's parallel to the ground. Nice and slow, lift that leg straight up in the air. Really try to control keeping that foot straight across. Remember, you want to try to focus on the outside thigh first before we switch it onto that quadricep. Nice, slow, controlled motion coming up. Slowly back down. Remember, it's exhale, bring that leg up. Inhale as it comes back down. Make sure you keep a little bit of a hover between those feet. Don't let them completely touch. Don't let that top leg completely relax. Check those abdominal muscles. Make sure you're sucking your belly button back in towards that spine. Those obliques and that lower back are contracted, as well as checking that leg, making sure it's perfectly straight, contracting that quadricep and that thigh to keep that leg straight. And we're almost done with this one. We're going to switch positions after this next repetition. Bring that leg back down, pause it, turn that toe up towards the ceiling, and start again. This one, remember, is going to focus more on your hip flexor and the top of your thigh, the front of that hip and the top of that thigh, as long as you keep that toe pointing straight up towards your head. So keep that motion going, keep that leg nice and straight, abdominal muscles nice and tight, those obliques tight, that lower back tight, always doing a nice, slow, controlled motion. And just 2 repetitions left. Keep that toe pointed up. Leg nice and straight. 1 more. Slowly back down. And let it relax. Go ahead and bring that left knee in front this time, or that left foot in front of that hip. Focusing on that right leg, doing that inside thigh raise. Slowly squeeze it up. Slowly back down. Make sure that leg stays perfectly straight. Exhale as that leg comes up. Inhale as it slowly drops back down. Again, check those abdominal muscles, those obliques, and that lower back. Make sure everything's really nice and tight. Just 2 more repetitions. We're going to switch those pulses next. Got 1 more. Bring that leg up and freeze the top. Short pulses, the very top of that range of motion. Remember, just a couple of inches, the very top. Tight, tight squeeze on that inside thigh. Really make it burn out. And go ahead and let that leg relax. We're going to move on to the next exercise. Go ahead and flip yourself over onto your stomach. We're going to be doing a leg lift with a hamstring curl. So flat down on the ground. Those hands just outside that shoulder width. Contract up nice and high. Get that back arched up just a bit. Contract those legs, get them nice and straight. Pull those thighs up off the ground, and then squeeze those heels in towards your butt. Nice tight squeeze, trying to pull those thighs up even higher. Then slowly extend them back out as you let those thighs slowly drop back down just a little bit. You always want to try to keep those thighs up off the ground, though, trying to let that knee completely touch the ground. Just keep that motion going. Every single time you squeeze that heel in towards your butt, you want to try to peel those thighs up even higher. Try to keep that chest up just a little bit. You want to have a little bit of tension in that lower back. You want to feel it quite a bit in those butt muscles as well as in that hamstring. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Now the breathing with this one is going to be exhale as those legs go away. Inhale as you squeeze them in nice and tight. Just keep that motion going as under control as you can. Contract those abdominal muscles, those obliques, and that lower back. Make sure that whole core section is nice and tight. Make sure those legs are constantly nice and tight. We're almost done. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and switch on to that next exercise. We're going to go ahead and sit you up on your tailbone for this one. Those legs straight out in front of your hips. We're going to be doing a seated leg lift. These look really easy, but they're incredibly difficult. So try to prop yourself up really nice and straight. Try to keep a nice straight spine, actually leaning yourself a little bit forward. We're going to start with that right leg first and just lift it up as high as you possibly can, keeping that leg perfectly straight and keeping that chest pushed forward. If you can, get it above the toe of that left foot. Otherwise, just as high as you can. Remember, the main thing to focus on is getting as much range of motion as you can out of that leg at the same time as keeping that chest tilted forward with a nice flat back. All right, let's do the same thing on the other side. So we're doing that left leg next. Prop that chest up again. Nice straight leg through that left leg. Slowly squeeze it up. Nice tight squeeze every single time. Get as much range of motion as you can. And we're almost done. Last one, bring it up and freeze it. Hold it up there, get that leg straight, and let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the cool down stretches. We're starting off with that butterfly stretch first. Bring those heels in nice and close together, those feet flat against each other. Tuck those feet in as close to your groin as you can, and flatten those legs out to the side. You actually want to use the muscles to the outside of your thighs to press those legs down into the ground as tight as you possibly can. Now just keep that position with a nice flat back. We're almost done. We're switching to a torso hamstring stretch next. Go ahead and let it relax. Kick that left leg out, right leg tucked in as close as comfortable. Stretch down with that left hand towards that left foot. Bring your right hand up over top of your head, stretching that torso, as well as getting a good stretch to that hamstring of that left leg. Just hold it there for a little bit longer. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch sides. Kick that right leg out, tuck that left leg in, stretch down towards that right foot with that right hand, bring that left arm up over top of your head, tilting that chest out towards the side, get a good stretch to that left torso, and on that hamstring of that right leg. Just hold it there, breathing normally. And go ahead and let it relax. Sit up nice and straight and tall again. Bring those feet back together. This time kind of pushed away from that groin just a little bit, about a foot or so. We're doing a deep hip socket stretch on this one. You're going to keep that back perfectly flat, lean straight forward, and you should feel it inside that hip socket. If you lock your chest down into those hips and tilt those hips forward as you lean forward, you should feel it down into that hip socket rather than in that lower back. And go ahead and let that relax. Sit back up. We're doing a seated torso twist. You're going to kick that left leg out, right leg over top, turn towards the right. You can use that knee if you need to help you twist. Just try to rotate those shoulders as much as you can. Just hold it there, breathing normally. And go ahead and switch directions. Lay that right leg out, left leg over top. Turn towards that left knee. Rotate those shoulders as best you can. And just try to keep breathing normally. And go ahead and let that one relax. We're going to switch over to the Cobra Stretch. So flat down on your stomach. Hands down by the base of your rib cage. Press into the floor with those hands. Arch that chest up really nice and high. Try to stretch that lower back, get those hips down towards the ground as low as you can, at the same time as tilting that chest back as much as possible. You want to kind of tilt that head back just a little bit. You want to feel like you're tilting that chin up towards the ceiling more than you are leaning that head back. Just hold it there, breathe normally, try to stretch those abdominal muscles, those hip flexors as much as you can. And we're almost done. We're going to move to child's pose next. Sit back into those heels. Keep those hands out in front of you, stretching them away. Just let that chest stretch out a little bit. Let that back round. Just breathe normally. Hold it just a little bit longer. We're going to move into the shell stretch next. It's almost the same exact position, but you're going to bring those hands down by those knees. You're actually going to push into the ground with the base of the palm of that hand, and you're going to crunch those shoulders down into those hips to really try to round that back as much as you possibly can. And let it relax. All right, good job. This workout is complete. You just finished Fitness Blender's comprehensive Pilates leg workout.